Moscow, it's one of those cities that can feel absolutely vast, disciplined, and honestly a little hard to figure out. But if you look past that monumental surface, there's this incredible urban machine humming away underneath, a system that makes it all tick. So today, let's deconstruct that machine together.
And this quote, wow, it just gets right to the heart of it. Moscow wasn't really designed to be inviting in the way we might think of other global cities. Its entire philosophy is rooted in something else, endurance. It's a city built to withstand pressure, to persist through any storm, to simply last.
So that really brings us to this central question, doesn't it? If you want to understand how a megacity like Moscow functions on such a massive scale, you have to ask, what is the system? What's the blueprint that keeps this whole thing running?
Well, the answer starts with the city's foundational design. Before we can really get into the nuts and bolts of the machine, we've got to look at the blueprint it was built from in the first place.
From its earliest days, this was a city shaped by governance, not by the kind of spontaneous, sometimes chaotic flow of commerce. Power, administration, defense, those were the forces that really dictated its shape.
And this is nothing new. Whether it was the imperial capital, the absolute nerve center of the Soviet Union, or today's political nucleus, Moscow has always evolved around a powerful, centralized core. You can literally see that history etched into its streets.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting, because you can see two totally different ways a city can grow. You've got the commercial model, often a grid system, right? Flexible, networked, built for trade. But then you have Moscow, centralized, hierarchical, with monumental architecture and streets that radiate out from the center like spokes on a wheel. And that's no accident. It's designed to project authority and move power efficiently.
Okay, so if that's the blueprint, what's the actual infrastructure that brings it all to life? Let's dive into the systems that power this mechanism.
The city's economy is a perfect mirror of its physical layout. Unlike cities where economic power is scattered among all sorts of different players, in Moscow, key industries, we're talking finance, energy, defense, are super concentrated. Wealth and opportunity tend to flow through these very defined centralized channels, and the state often has a very visible hand in it all.
But the real secret to keeping a city of this scale in sync isn't just what you see on the surface. Nope. For that, you have to go underground.
The Moscow Metro is legendary for a reason. It is vast, it's incredibly efficient, and it's just woven into the very fabric of daily life. It's so much more than a way to get from A to B. It's a core piece of civic infrastructure. It's the system that makes sure the city's massive population moves in a predictable, reliable, and, yes, controlled manner every single day.
All right, so let's zoom in a bit. We've talked about the macro systems, the infrastructure, the economics, but what about the human scale? How does living inside this highly structured machine actually shape the daily lives of the people there? As you walk through Moscow, you see these stark contrasts, often right next to each other. On one hand, you have the functional Soviet-era apartment blocks, still home to millions, a legacy of standardized efficiency. And then, bam, you see these gleaming new luxury towers that signal a much more segregated, aspirational kind of economy. In a city like this, where you live isn't just about a home, it's about your access to everything.
So what you find is that daily life takes on a certain rhythm. It's built on predictable routines and very structured systems. Regulation is often right there in your face, not hidden away. And when you learn to navigate a system this rigid, you develop a cultural trait that's just deeply ingrained in the city's identity: resilience.
So how is this whole fortress model holding up in the modern world? Let's take a look at how Moscow is adapting, or not, to today's pressures while really sticking to its core design. The city's facing a whole host of complex challenges, things like economic isolation, demographic shifts, the need to update its aging infrastructure, and navigating this huge global technological transition we're all in.
And this, right here, gets to the absolute core of the city's identity. Instead of trying to radically reinvent itself to become some sort of open, Western-style metropolis, Moscow's strategy is to fortify. It's doubling down on its existing systems, strengthening control, and reinforcing self-reliance.
This really reframes the whole conversation, doesn't it? It suggests we should see Moscow not as a city that's somehow failing to be open, but maybe as one that's successfully pursuing a completely different path. A path where stability, control, and long-term survival are the top priorities.
And that leaves us with a final, really provocative question. As the world becomes more and more unpredictable,
Does a model built on endurance and resilience maybe offer a different kind of strength? It's a question that really challenges our assumptions about what makes a global city truly successful.